Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We're going to be talking about Kringle Candle Vancouver Cabin. Now, before I get into this review, I do always like to disclose when a candle has been sent to me in PR, and that is the case here. A huge thank you to Kringle for sending this over to me for my thoughts. As always, you guys, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I will let you guys know what I think of the fragrance as well as the burn performance in my home. So let's go ahead and talk about this one. This is part of the 6 new fragrances that were launched about 2 weeks ago now. 2.5 weeks ago. All the time is just running together for me. But this is part of their new fall lineup. Now, I have mentioned that personally, you guys, I believe that this lineup of fragrances, with the exception of about one fragrance in here, is definitely more of like a fall transitional type of lineup. And this fragrance falls into that category. There's nothing about this fragrance in particular that really screams quintessential fall to my nose. But let's go ahead and talk about that. So, we have this is a large 2-wick 100% soy wax candle. It retails for, I believe, $31. This is 22 ounces of 100% soy wax. And we've got this beautiful photographic label right here. I mentioned that this looks like my husband's dream home. I mean, he doesn't even want like a big house. He just wants a simple cabin right there on the lake where he can go out there and throw his fishing line out and catch all of the fish in peace and seclusion. So the label here is absolutely beautiful. The fragrance notes on this candle are top notes of bergamot and cedar, mid notes of balsamic woods, patchouli, base note of moss and amber. The pour date of this candle is also April 15th, 2025. Okay, so I had mentioned that the fragrances are definitely more transitional scents. And if you caught my first sniffs candle, like candle haul, I would say, of this video a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that this fragrance was actually what I would say on cold sniff was my least favorite fragrance. I will say that the number 5 and 6 fragrances have flip-flopped now after burning. If you happen to have caught the review I put up earlier today, which was the rosewood and vetiver, actually upon burn, I would say that I dislike rosewood and vetiver a little bit more than this one. It's not that I hate this candle. It's a nice fragrance, but it is out of my wheelhouse. I will say that upon burn, I like it more, but not enough that I feel like this is one that is worth keeping in my collection. So to me, you guys, this fragrance is very much keeping in line with kind of that like perfumey, outdoorsy type of vibe. It's a little bit woody. Not really necessarily perfumey or cologne like, even though there is a base note of amber in there. This to me definitely gives like fresh outdoor vibes without it being like super fresh eucalyptus, juniper. None of those notes are in here. This, we know that Kringle has kind of had a little bit of a love affair with bergamot since the spring. And it is interesting that they have it listed as a top note here, because I do think that that is one of the elements that keeps this fragrance from being a little bit too heavy. I feel like the rosewood and vetiver fragrance is very like heavy wood type of fragrance. This one does have a woody element to it, similar, I would say, to the rosewood and vetiver. Truthfully, you guys, I feel like this fragrance combined with the rosewood and vetiver, or like if you're burning them in separate rooms, they're going to complement each other well, but they are definitely distinctly different fragrances. My nose does detect the patchouli and the balsamic woods in this candle. There is a little bit of like, I like a balsamic glaze on my food, and I do detect a hint of that. Like this is not like a gourmand or anything like that, but I do detect a little bit of that same element that you would get in a like a balsamic vinegar or whatnot in this fragrance. It's not sharp. It's not gourmand, like I said. But this is one of those fragrances that honestly I'm having a little bit of a harder time describing, other than it is like an earthy type of fragrance. I personally don't really love the patchouli in here mixed with the cedar. I have found that patchouli and cedar together for me remind me a bit of a cedar chest. It kind of reminds me of like kind of like those like hippie type of vibes, which some people really, really love those fragrances. But it's not for me. It does smell, I think the name is actually pretty accurate for Vancouver Cabin, because this does smell like what I would say like a log cabin. I've never been to Vancouver, but this does have kind of a kind of like a masculine woody element to it. It doesn't remind me of like a hunting lodge or anything like that. That I would think that I would get more like, I would picture that being more like kind of boozy. I know that some people say that they pick up this being slightly cologne like. I could see that. Maybe I don't really put it into that category, because for me, I think when I think of like cologne fragrances that I would prefer on my husband, I like things that have a little bit more of like a vanilla and a boozy aspect to it. I don't necessarily always want like a woody type of fragrance note in there. But this one definitely falls more into like a woody conceptual type of fragrance, slightly perfumey in that vein, again, because of the amber in the base note there. I don't get a ton of greenery in this. There's a little bit more greenery in it. Like I said, I keep comparing this to the rosewood and vetiver, because even though they are very different fragrances, the rosewood and vetiver is more of like a tobacco leaf and cedar wood to my nose. It's a little more dense than this one. This one is like a slightly brighter take on that, but you still get the elements of the patchouli and the cedar wood in there. Um, and yeah, there's a little bit of bergamot in there to kind of like liven it up and make it feel a little bit lighter. But this fragrance is just it's not really for me. This one will also be decluttered after I do this review. Just not really in my wheelhouse, but I have heard a lot of people have gotten this candle in and they've said that they really, really love it. So just know that my fragrance preferences, that's just, we all have different thoughts on it. So make sure that if this one is still one that you're on the fence about, I'm sure that there will be other ambassadors or people chiming in the Kringle Facebook group what their thoughts are on this one. Let's go ahead and talk about the burn and the performance. So here's the thing with this one, you guys. I mentioned in the rosewood and vetiver that one was burning pretty cleanly, but do you see up here a little bit? I've got a little tiny bit of soot going on with this candle. One of the things I have noticed with this one is that you don't want to get too aggressive with trimming the wicks too thin, because one of the issues that I ran into is that I have had to dump a little bit of wax because one of these wicks did want to start to like curl down like this, and then it self extinguished. So I find that that happened after I trimmed the wicks a little bit too short on that. But the flip side is that this one is accruing a little bit of soot at the top. All candles do soot to some degree, but just be aware of that in this 2-wick format. Sometimes I find with these large 2-wick tumblers that by nature they will catch some excess soot. Some of the fragrances are sootier than others, so I did want to let you guys know. Right now, this is not burning too terribly hot and crazy, but I've also only had this candle lit for about 45 minutes. So that is why. But I do see a little bit more soot accruing on this one, and you do want to be aware not to trim the wicks too short, because otherwise they will self-extinguish. Strength and throw on this one, you guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at the list here of all of the fragrances from this most recent fall launch, and I'm going to tell you guys, for me personally, this one has been the lightest in terms of strength and throw. This one for me, maximum is about a 5. It's very low medium in terms of strength and throw. This gets completely lost out in the open concept of my home. I actually cannot smell it at all when I burn it in the open concept. I can smell it a bit in my master bedroom, which is more closed concept, has lower ceilings. But truthfully, the best performance I've gotten out of this candle has been when I've had it lit in my daughter's bedroom, which is one of the smaller bedrooms in our house. When I walk in there, then I can smell it. And it fills up that small space pretty well. So if you're planning to burn this in like a smaller room, maybe you're in a smaller apartment or maybe an office or something like that, then I think that it will do well in there. But don't count on this 2-wick format to perform well in an open concept, because I think you might be a little bit disappointed in that performance. So those are my thoughts on this candle. Let me know down below if you purchased this one, what your thoughts are on it. Always like to hear some of your feedback. But like I said, as for me, this one is going to be a declutter. You will see this in my monthly declutter, because this one just is not for me. I actually have somebody in mind that I'm planning to pass this one along to. So we'll see if she enjoys it. But anyways, you guys, please hit thumbs up if you found this review helpful. If you are shopping over on the Kringle website for any of these new fall fragrances, or if you are waiting to shop for the Halloween launch, which is happening next Friday, August 1st, then I do have a discount code with Kringle. It is Katie15. It will save you 15% off of your purchase. It is an affiliate code eligible for commission, so please only use that if you are comfortable. But anyways, you guys, please consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. Lots of candle reviews coming up for you guys within the next 2 weeks. I'm busy burning and developing thoughts and hoping to get them all out to all of you guys within a timely manner. So if you don't want to miss out on those, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.